Good afternoon. I'm down here at Mykonos in Langebaan. Beautiful setting, lovely afternoon. And I wanted to share this word with you today from here. I want to start off our study this afternoon by going to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. And I want to read from verse 11 on right through until verse 13. These things happened to them as examples and were written down as warnings for us, on whom the fulfillment of the ages has come. It means that those who are living in the last days, these things are recorded for you. Then it says, so if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. Then in verse 13 it says, no temptation has seized you except what is common to man. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. God is counseling us here through Paul that the things that happened to people of old were recorded in the Word so that we can learn from them. There is a saying that a wise man learns from other people's mistakes and a fool from his own. May we not be foolish, may we be wise. May we take heed as to what God's word teaches us. Today I want us to go back again because we are talking out of the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 1, and we find ourselves in a war zone. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has come in and has taken Jehoiakim, king of Judea, king of Israel. He's taken them captive, and he's taken some of the treasures and he's taken them back to Babylon. And he's put some of the treasures that he's gained there in his own temple, the temple of Baal Marduk. But before I go any further talking about what's happening in the book of Daniel, I first want to draw your attention to two very interesting facts about the book of Daniel. First of all, in the book of Daniel, we find two kinds of stories. First of all, we have stories like the three young Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace, Daniel in the lion's den, etc. And then we have prophetic words, prophetic experiences, like Daniel chapter 4, where Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, or Daniel chapter 2, where Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, or in Daniel chapter 7, where Daniel has a dream. Now it's interesting, one might wonder, why do we find these two things in the book of Daniel? Now, first of all, God has promised in Amos 3 verse 7 that He will allow nothing to happen to us without first revealing what He's planning to do through His servants, the prophets. As we study Daniel, we are going to get prophecies telling us of things and events that are going to take place and have taken place. And then we have the stories. Why the stories? The stories are written so that we will be able to know how to relate to those experiences that are prophetically forecasted. For example, when Daniel found himself in the lion's den because he refused not to pray to God, to the God of Israel, he found himself being persecuted. Now we are counseled in God's word that in the end, some of us might have to be thrown to the lions. We'll be suffering terrible things. How are we to relate to it? What is the example set for us? And we have the beautiful example of the story of Daniel, as recorded in Daniel chapter 6. But I want to also end today's study by telling you about Daniel and his three friends. Now, Daniel has three friends: Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. It's interesting that each of these names has a meaning in the Hebrew. As I told you last time, Daniel means God is my judge. Now, when we come to the rest of the names, like Hananiah and Mishael and Azariah, I want you to notice something there. That the chief official, which was Ashpenaz, he takes Daniel and his three friends and he gives them new names. The name that he gives to Daniel is Belteshazzar, to Hananiah, Shadrach, to Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. It's interesting. Something's happening here. Why does the king of Babylon order Ashpenaz to change their names, their Hebrew names, and to give them Babylonian names? I'm going to be talking about more of this in our next study. May God help you today as we study the book of Daniel to learn that God has forewarned us and He's given us examples of old that we can learn from their mistakes or we can learn from their successes, how to be victorious in the warfare that we are fighting on planet Earth. May God bless you today.